Hi everyone, how's it going? Today, the topic I'm going to talk about is Dukkha and is a concept of Buddhism. Before I begin explaining what it is, I want to tell you a story of how Buddhism came about in order to show you why the concept of the Dukkha is so important to Buddhism. So, once upon a time, there was a prince, Siddhartha Gautama, who lived in Nepal from about 4th century to 6th century BC. To stop the prince from thinking about unhappiness or leaving home, the king built a pleasure palace for Siddhartha. Dancers and singers were asked to entertain them, and only healthy and young people were allowed into the palace and the palace garden. The king did not want Siddhartha to know that everybody gets sick, grow old, and will die. One day, he ventured out beyond the palace walls and was quickly confronted with the realities of human frailty. He saw a very old man, and Siddhartha's escort explained that all people grow old. On subsequent trips, he encountered a diseased man, a decaying corpse, and a wise man. The escort explained that the wise man had renounced the world to seek release from the human fear of death and suffering. Siddhartha was a compassionate man, so he was overcome by these sights, so he left his kingdom to seek the remedy for such situations. The prince then went on to ponder about suffering and hence founded Buddhism. From this we can see how important the concept of Dukkha is to their religion. Buddhist teachings are communicated through the Four Noble Truths, and hence understanding Dukkha's role within the Four Noble Truths is key to helping us understand Dukkha. The first three truths relate to the existence, beginning, and end of Dukkha, while the fourth talks about the path to ending it. First, life is Dukkha, or Dukkha exists in life. This does not pessimistically mean that we exist to suffer. Dukkha can be split into three parts: mental and physical suffering, the impermanence or nitya of all things, and lastly, the expectations of all phenomena. The second truth deals with the origin and cause of Dukkha. This is caused by attachment to physical objects as well as mental attachment to ideas. Detachment is not the remedy for attachment because the pursuit of detachment is also an attachment. A more accurate opposite of attachment should be renunciation, or raga, loosely translated into Chinese as wu mian, literally no thought. This is so that we cannot be harmed mentally nor emotionally and hence do not incur suffering. When there is no beginning of attachment, then there will naturally not be an end, and thus no suffering due to impermanence. The third truth is about the possibility of ending dukkha, and this potential ability is nirvana. Hence, nirvana is the extinction of greed, hatred, and delusion, and the end of ignorance, selfishness, and desire for sensory gratifications in terms of our current life. The fourth truth is that there exists a way to end dukkha in the form of Eightfold Path. This path is the middle way between self-torment and self-indulgence. The 8 elements are right view, right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The existence of the third and fourth truth implies that the first truth is not absolute. This means that life, being dukkha, is not forever. So now that we know how important Dukkha is to Buddhism, we can finally answer the main question: what exactly is Dukkha? Defining Dukkha is difficult because it is not originally an English word. Dukkha is translated into Chinese as "苦." The common misconception is to associate it with suffering. Birth is Dukkha, aging is Dukkha, death is Dukkha, sorrow is Dukkha, temporary is Dukkha, pain is Dukkha. However, associating Dukkha with only suffering is restricting one's understanding of Dukkha from a more mature perspective entirely. Dukkha can be split into 3 parts: mental and physical suffering, the impermanence or anitya of all things, and lastly the dependence of all phenomena. Understanding physical suffering is quite intuitive. Pain, sickness, injury, discomfort, and hurt are all examples of physical suffering. This is hurting of one of the 5 skandhas of or matter and form of things. This is the most straightforward interpretation. Aging and death are among some suffering that are inevitable. Hence, this straightforward form of dukkha is inevitable. To understand suffering from impermanence, we need to look into anatman, the Buddhist perspective of self, or rather the lack of it. According to the doctrine of Atman, there is no self in the sense of a permanent, integral, autonomous being within an individual existence. Our thoughts are intrinsically self-aware, subjectless thoughts that are thinking themselves. A second concept that causes friction with the first is that nothing is eternal. Even the purest state of bliss experienced in spiritual practice is dukkha. Since nothing is eternal, and these thoughts want to cling to something permanent, they will resist change. This expectation for non-eternal things to be eternal will inevitably lead to suffering. To say that we are suffering because we have expectation is not entirely precise. Sankhara is linked closely to attachments. It is mental formations or the mind's attachments to how it wants things to be in that form. So, for example, if I were a spoiled child and I wanted a brand new toy, then the expectation that my parents should give me a toy on my birthday causes suffering. This is how even having so much can still lead to suffering based on our mental formations, our expectations. So dukkha comes from our unsatisfactory perception that we impose on things rather than the physical happening of things themselves. And those are the three components of dukkha. Now that we know this a little bit more about dukkha, what can we do about it? So accepting that dukkha exists and understanding the cause of dukkha is only the first step to ending it. To summarize what I've gone through, the first step is the first noble truth is the diagnosis, identifying the disease. The second explains the cause of the disease. The third assures us that there is a cure. And the fourth prescribes the remedy. Practicing is essential in removing all components of dukkha, and the existence of such a path to doing so is in the fourth noble truth. The Eightfold Path is beyond the scope of this paper, but there are also key sequels to understanding dukkha so as to eliminate it. Alright, I hope you guys have learned something. I hope you enjoyed this short video. Thank you and see you next time. Goodbye.